Hi guys, so this is part 2 of customers slash customer service from a whole nother world. People that I don't even know where they came from. And I just realized really? I have an eyebrow spoolie stuck in my crazy, hair. Oh, I can tell this video is gonna go well already. Anyways, so we left off at the salon in the first video with kids screaming and running. And starting this part, it also starts at the same salon, just a different situation. So I have my notes sitting here of all of the stories I have to tell. So if you see me reading and looking down, just know I'm just trying to remember all the stuff that happened because there's so much to go through. So let's get into it. Okay, so I was working at the salon. I was a receptionist and I did other duties. I wasn't just a receptionist. I did the laundry. I helped people out. I got the colors out of people's cabinets that they needed for their clients. I got to, shampoo people's hair and all that. I swept floors. I did everything. Um, so I also booked people's appointments, and I had to come around and, be friendly, talk to people. I'm naturally friendly, so I do that anyways. So there's an older woman that came in. She was a regular, and she kind of was discriminatory towards me. You may look at me and see like Casper the Ghost Girl, a very white girl, and you may not think that anybody could discriminate against me, but this woman did, and it hurt me. I even cried about it. Some people may not understand why, but you may understand. If you've seen my adoption videos, then you might understand. So, and I'm already starting to cry. Okay, so a lady came in, an older woman, and we started talking, and I was speaking to her, and I brought up the fact to her that I came from Russia. I was adopted, and I had been there for 7 years of my life. I was addicted to I was born to two Russian people. And then she starts like going on a tangent about communism and like throwing out extremely hurtful and prejudiced comments towards me, like screaming at me, like hurtful and prejudiced comments towards me, and like calling me a communist. I'm an American citizen. I've been in the United States since I was 7 years old. Yes, I am a citizen of Russia still. I am a citizen of the United States also. I am not a communist just because I was born in a country that happened to be communist. I love my country. I have two countries. I love both of my countries. I love the United States. It's given me a future and a life I never thought as a child I could have. And number two, I love Russia because that is my home. That is where I came from. That's where my birth family's at. So now I'm starting to get emotional about that because this comment really got to me. So I told her, just because I'm from Russia, that doesn't make me communist. Russia hasn't been the same way in a long time. They've come a far way than from when she remembers it, from 30 years ago, or even around the time that I was born in 1992. It's changed drastically. Of course, the political climate weather over there is still not great, but it's a lot better than it was when I was born. And all the while she's like ranting on about communist and calling me a communist, I can see all the stylists and all the clients staring at me and staring at her, and I can see them laughing, and they weren't laughing at me. they were laughing as in, like, is this a joke kind of laugh? Like, is she joking laughing? They were laughing at her. And they were looking at me, and I could tell by the way the stylist and the clients were looking at me that they felt bad for me, because I was like this. I was on the verge of tears while she was standing there, like, bashing me, bashing the country I was born in, and bashing me because of the country I was born in. She then proceeded to loudly scream on the top of her lungs, get this, I had red hair at that point, get this red-headed communist thing, she called me a thing, get this red-haired communist thing away from me right now. She screamed that on the top of her lungs. And I hadn't said anything up to that point except for, just because I was born in Russia doesn't make me a communist. And she screams, get this red-headed communist away from me right now. That's when I could see everyone, including the stylist and customers, were really uncomfortable and felt sorry for me. I spent time in the back room crying because I didn't understand. I mean, I get emotional because of this, because of my adoption story and being adopted. I love my birth parents and I love my adopted parents so much. And just when people attack, when people go for the place that I came from, and then they attack me as a person because of where I came from, they attack me because of the country, that's not okay with me. That just hurts me. So I spent a lot of time in the back room crying because I didn't understand where all these comments were coming from. And she had never met me before like that. I mean, she had come in and I had checked her in and checked her out, but we had never had a conversation. She didn't know me. So all of the customers that witnessed it came over to the reception desk when I had calmed down and went back up, and to make sure that I was okay, and that they made sure, they told me that me being born in Russia was extremely cool to them, and that it doesn't make me a communist, and they all made it very clear that her comments were hateful, untrue, and unnecessary. That they made it clear that she was obviously a hateful person for the remarks that she made towards me, all starting from the fact that I was just giving her a little bit of background about me. I'm not ashamed that I was adopted. I'm not ashamed of that. I share that. That's part of my life story. I'm not ashamed to be from Russia. That is where I was born. That is still going to be my home. That is still where my heart is. Because I have 6 siblings in Russia that I just found out about. I have aunts and uncles in Russia. Both of my parents lived in Russia, but if you watched my video, then you would know what happened. My adoption story video, then you would know what happened. So it's a touchy subject for me, so it just hit me out of nowhere, and I couldn't expect that somebody in a salon would be that rash. And some people tried to justify it to me. They tried to justify, she's older, or she didn't really mean it, it's the older age, that's the way they think. And to me it was no, that is not older age, that's the way they think. Older people do not just straight up attack somebody because of the country they were born in. They do not say, get this red-headed communist away from me, when they don't know anything about the person. They don't know anything about their life. That has nothing to do with somebody's age. That has to do with somebody's soul, the way they are. And that means, to me, it showed her true colors and how hateful she was. Maybe she hated Russia. I know some people do. I personally love Russia. But even if you hate Russia, Don't take it out on the people of Russia. Don't take it out on the citizens. I am a citizen even though I live in the United States. Don't take it out on us, the people that were born there. Don't take it out on us because it's not our fault. I'm sorry I'm crying because it's just so personal for me. And it gets me every time talking about that. This probably was not the video you were expecting. I'm sorry. 10 minutes crying already. Alright. So that was number 8. Picking off of part 1. That was number 8. This is number 9. This happened in the real estate office that my family owns. They own a company, a property management company, and a real estate company. So, this crying got me all stuffed up. I'm sorry. Sorry. So, we had a tenant that blew up on one of our maintenance people while the maintenance people were in the house that these tenants were going to be renting. They came in through the house. They had demanded that the walls be changed, that this be changed, that this be changed. And the owner was graciously allowing them to change things. So we had our maintenance people in the house doing changes to the house at that time. So, one day he went into the house when the maintenance people were there. It was before he even moved in, and he blew up and started threatening our maintenance people, literally physically threatening our maintenance people. One of the maintenance people was a girl that works for our company, and he took a set of keys and threw them straight into her face, smacked her in that face with a key ring full of metal keys right in her face. And then several weeks later, he comes in a rage, and I was at the front desk. He was just raging, and like I said, I was at the reception desk, and he's freaking out over something that I had no power over. So he was screaming, cussing at me, and even came around the desk to where I was sitting and balling up his hands like this, like he was gonna hit me. I screamed for my dad because my dad's office is right next to the reception desk. My dad is the owner and the CEO of the company. He's the broker and the owner and all that. And so, when I screamed for my dad came out, running out to see, what was wrong, because I never scream in the office. Nothing like that has ever happened to me, and I think he could hear I was terrified. So he came running out of his office, and this guy is standing there. The guy he knew had already assaulted one of our maintenance people, so he was trying to defuse the situation. So he came out to help this angry man, and he came out pretty much to protect me because this guy was balling up his arms to pretty much hit me. So my dad comes out to help this crazy man who was already assaulted some of our people. He didn't my dad came out to help him with solutions to his problem. He didn't like any of my dad's solutions, so he got up in my dad's face, literally in his face. And I couldn't believe it. I was at the verge of tears because my dad was in his early 60s, and I was terrified. And this guy was in his early 30s, very muscular, very tall. I was scared. So he got in my dad's face and had my dad up against a wall. He pushed my dad up against a wall and had my dad pinned against the wall, screaming in my dad's face like he was about to attack my dad. And I was terrified. And of course, I'm crying and telling the man to stop. And my dad was, like I said, my dad was in his early 60s, and this man was in his 30s and way bigger than my dad. My dad didn't back down. My dad's not the type to back down from something like that, even though he was up against a man much bigger than he was and a man much younger than he was. He told him to get the heck out of our office or he would call the police. Eventually he left, but it left me scared. I was scared for myself, but I was mostly scared for my dad. Um, I was so scared that he was going to attack my dad, all because the paint color in his rental house wasn't to his liking. He came in there like ready to assault somebody. Like he had assaulted our maintenance people that had done work to the rental house he hadn't even rented yet. Like it was so scary. Okay, and then number 10, Dollar General. This isn't as like intense as the other two were. Um, this was a high maintenance customer that needed me to do her shopping for her. I was a cashier, so I had to ring people up, and I was usually there were 3 people on staff, one person that did the shipments and put everything out on shelves, one person was the manager that like looked over everything, and the cashier, and I was the one cashier. So this woman like came in and was like asking me where things were. So I showed her where things were, and then she pulls out a shopping list full of things and like proceeds to tell me that I need to walk her through the store and pick out all the stuff that she needed off the list. Really? I'm a cashier. Like I told her, I'm a cashier. I have to go back. Like there's people in line. I need to check people out. I can't be here being your personal shopper. That's not my job description. I'm not a personal shopper. I have to get back over there. So I go back over and start ringing people out. And then I see her in line at the end of the line, and she's like, "Okay, well, there's nobody in line, so come on, my shopping list isn't gonna get done," like pretty much like that, and like expecting me to go read her shopping list and get everything she needs into a buggy and push it over to the aisle and then have me scan all her items for her and bag them for her. And then she even asked me to take her bags out to her car. Like, and this was not like an old woman. This was not a woman in her 80s or 90s or 100s. No. This was like a 40-year-old woman that was not handicapped in any way. She would just felt entitled that she could come into the store and find a worker and have them be her personal shopper, and then have them ring her out, bag her items, and then bring her cart out to her car and literally load her groceries in. No, I didn't do that. First of all, I helped her pick out a couple items, and I went back to the register, and when she came back to my register and was like, "Okay, there's no more people," I told her, "I can't, I have other things to do." We don't do that here. We're not personal shoppers. We can help you find things, but we are not going to walk around the store with you and find every single thing on your list for you. And also I'm busy. Like I had other responsibilities than just checking people out. I also had to stock inventory. And I had other things to do. So I didn't just have extra time to be personal shopping for somebody and also rolling their bags out to their car. Like, that wasn't my job description. If it had been an elderly person, sure, I would have rolled their groceries out to their cart and helped them. And I actually have done that. But when somebody that's entitled, that is abled, walks in there, no, that's a no for me. I'm not going to drop what I'm doing, like my work, my actual job title, to do what you're like demanding me to do. Like if an older person is struggling, I'm gonna put aside what my job title is to help them, because they actually need help. They're not entitled. They just need help. And then number 11 is also another Dollar General one. What a surprise. Most of part one was Dollar General crazy experiences. Number 11 is at Dollar General, a woman and her kids came in 5 minutes before closing. And our closing at that time was, they had changed it months earlier from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Yeah, our Dollar General closed at 10 o'clock, and I lived almost an hour away from the store. So it took, well, I lived about 50 minutes away from the store. So it took me 50 minutes to get there and 50 to get back. And we closed at 10 o'clock, and then when we closed, we couldn't just leave. We had to clean the store, which took about 30 to 45 minutes. So I usually wouldn't be getting out of the store until 10:45, sometimes 11 o'clock. So, and then my almost 1 hour drive, that would be 12 o'clock by the time I got home. So anyway, so this woman comes in with her kids, 5 minutes till closing, and we told her that we were closing in 5 minutes, and that, and she was like, well, I only have a couple things to get, I'm going to be real quick, and they stayed forever, like for at least 35 minutes. She said, we have one or two things to grab. Literally, they stayed for 35 minutes. It was 10:30 by the time they came to the checkout line. We had been closed for 30 minutes, technically. We're not allowed to close the store until the last customer is out. So technically, our store wasn't even closed. Our store wasn't closed until she walked out. So that meant that at 10:35, when she actually did walk out, that's when the store closing happened. And then we have, 30 to 45 minutes of cleaning to do. So I didn't get home till past 1 o'clock in the morning that time, because of that woman. And we told her, like, come on, we're closing, you need to go. And she's like, oh, we got one more thing to get. And when somebody comes in like a couple minutes before closing, we can't tell them they can't come in. It's a company policy. You can't tell them they can't come in. But you also can't lock the doors like 2 minutes before closing. You can't do that either. So you can only lock the doors right when it hits 10 o'clock. And if there's people in there before 10 o'clock, there's nothing you can do. It just means you're staying later. And it sucked. And we had many people that would come in literally at 10 o'clock as we were literally closing the doors. I remember multiple people, as we were locking the doors, banging on the doors, I need to get some stuff. Like, we're closed. We've literally locked the doors already. Like, and it says our times. There's like a store up the street. There's a Publix up the street that stays open longer than we do. Like 10 o'clock is pretty late for a dollar store. I mean, and that was late for us. We changed from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So that's an extra hour and an extra hour for me to travel. And then when people stay past their closing times, that just messes everything up. And I know some of you that have worked in retail, you know the frustration of when people come in when you're getting ready to close. How frustrating that is. And you're like wanting to leave and you're getting angry at these people because you know that they know that you're closing and that you can't leave, you can't do anything until they leave. They know it, but they don't care, so. All right. This is the last one, and it's also Dollar General. Sorry. That crying caused a little bit of snot. Sorry, gross. Okay, number 12. Also Dollar General, and this involves a sinkhole. 2 sinkholes, to be in fact. It was raining. So, one day I was working. I had actually put in my 2 weeks notice a couple days before because I had decided to leave. Um, One day it was raining really, really hard, and it was like an hour or two before closing. And we hear on the news that the road, literally right next to our store, there was a sinkhole. The water just completely took out the whole road. A huge hole in between the road. There were police marking it off so nobody would drive off and go down into the sinkhole. And then we find out a little later, like I'm thinking I'll be able to go the back way somehow. The back way takes forever, even longer to get home. I'll be able to go the long way. And then we find out literally on the other side, not even like maybe 20 feet away from our store, on the other side, a sinkhole happens again. So we're literally, this is a true story. 20 feet on this side, a sinkhole. 20 feet on this side, a sinkhole. All that was, we were literally in the middle of it, nowhere. 2 sinkholes and no roads to get to anywhere. There was like one neighborhood right next to our store that was going this way, and one neighborhood going this way. So all the people that were stuck, including the store, were trying to come to Dollar General. So I'll back up. So when we found out that there were sinkholes, I was freaking out, crying, because this had never happened to me before. And I was calling my boyfriend. I was telling him, there's a sinkhole, I'm not going to be able to get home, I need you to come here somehow. I'm literally going to jump into the sinkhole, and or go around into the bushes and try to meet me there. Like I need to get out of here. I was freaking out. He came, but they wouldn't let anybody through. They wouldn't let anybody through the woods, nothing. So there was no way I was going to get out of there. Like, people were still coming in, and at closing at 10 o'clock, we locked the doors. It was just me and a manager. It was just the 2 of us. And I was so scared. And I had to stay there overnight because there were sinkholes. I couldn't go anywhere. Both sides of the road were completely caved in from the sinkhole from all the raining. So for the people that have worked in like stores, you know those little buggies that you haul like boxes on. Our manager contacted corporate because of that and let them know that he had 2 employees stuck in a store because of 2 sinkholes, and we weren't able to leave the store at all. So corporate was like, told us that we could take whatever we want from the store, take pillows, open up blankets, take toothpaste, toothbrushes, deodorant, whatever you need, take food, take a little grill, like do whatever you need to survive, take whatever you want from the store, and you will not be charged. So what I did was I got a pillow, I got a blanket, and I got, a toothbrush and some toothpaste, and I got, a little meal. I got a little bit of food, a little bit of snacks, and then I put the 2 crates together, those pushing roller things. I forgot what they're called now. The trolleys that you push boxes on. I put 2 of them together to form a tiny little bed, and I placed like a mattress. They have mattresses at Dollar General too, little like flimsy mattresses. I put one in the middle, and I slept crumpled up in between these 2 metal box pushers. And I refused to sleep on the floor because we had giant wolf spiders, like huge wolf spiders that would come into the store, and I was so scared of being like crawled on at night by one of those, so I decided to sleep above ground at least a little bit, while the other co-worker, she slept on the floor. And so the next day comes, and my boss, we wake up early, and my boss wants like me to work again. They had patched up the road on one side. Actually, I think they had patched up the road on both sides by morning. somehow. But he still wanted me and the other girl to work. We had barely slept at all. People woke us up literally at 6 in the morning, banging on the doors, wanting to get in to get food. And I was like, this was supposed to be my day off. And other people are supposed to be coming in. Like, the roads are fixed now. And my boss wanted me to work. And I was so tired, so exhausted from everything that had happened the night before that I just couldn't. I couldn't. And so, no, okay, I remember. No, one side of the street still had a sinkhole. The one on this side still had a sinkhole, but the one on this side had been patched. The back way out that takes a longer way for me to get home, like way longer, like an hour and a half longer to get home, was patched. So I worked for like half the day, and I was like literally drained. I had been working literally for like almost 2 days straight, and I was I was just so drained. And so there were a couple people, employees that lived really close to there, so they came in, and I left to go home, and there was no service in that part of town. It was like in the middle of nowhere. So I had no idea where I was going. My GPS was not working. I'd never taken that back road before. And it was horrible. So I called my boss on the way home, and I told him, even though I had put in my 2 weeks notice, I wasn't gonna come back to work. I'm sorry, but I can't, because there's a sinkhole, and I'm not going to be driving 2 hours every day to work and 2 hours back every day from work. That's just not going to work for me, unfortunately. And I later heard that he was extremely pissed off that I dared tell him that I was not going to be coming back. They had already hired somebody. I mean, they have plenty of staff, but he was pissed that I told him that I wasn't willing to drive 2 hours to work and drive hours home for minimum wage. I would pretty much be spending my day's money, the money I made that day, just on gas. So what's the point, you know? So that was a really traumatic situation for me, at least, getting caught in between 2 sinkholes in a small, like, enclosed area. It was so, if you actually had been there, you would have seen what a small area it was. We were literally one store stuck in between 2 sinkholes and 2 adjacent neighborhoods. And all of these people from these neighborhoods are trying to get into our store. Like, I think people, like, the first I heard people banging was at, the people that woke me up were at 6 o'clock in the morning. But apparently there had been people there, like, I remember people banging on the windows before then. Like, I had my phone next to me and I was checking it. I was hearing noises. I've never slept in a store before, so I was kind of delirious. I checked my phone at around 3 o'clock in the morning, and there was banging on the front doors. So I know there were people that had been banging on the front doors at 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't get to sleep till like at least 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And then woken up again at 3 o'clock in the morning, hearing banging, looking at my phone, and then being up for the day at 6 o'clock in the morning. You know, that's not much sleep, especially the trauma that went along with the day before. So this one wasn't really this one was kind of like a freak accident thing. It wasn't really customer issues, although the customers did come way before our store opened. Our store does not open at 3 o'clock in the morning. Sorry, no, it doesn't. And it didn't open at 6 o'clock in the morning either. So, but we let the people in anyway because they needed to buy stuff. And I still stayed for like the partial day, even though I was so exhausted and wanted to get out of there. I wanted to go home to my boyfriend and to my family because I was so scared. It had nothing really to do with bad customers or people. It just was a freak of nature, and I just wanted to include that in this. So, anyways, that was my horrible customer experiences. The customers from a whole nother galaxy, people, crazy people, mean people, natural disasters, just crazy stuff that has happened to me while I was working. So this was part 2, and I know I look crazy, but don't mind that. If you are new here, I forgot to say that at the beginning of the video. Subscribe. I do beauty channels, I do beauty videos. I do videos about DIYs. You might have seen some of them at the beginning of my channel. I do some baby stuff. I need to do some more baby stuff if you're interested in that. But I mainly do makeup-oriented things. And then obviously I do things like this, talking about my life, things I've experienced, these 2 customer service videos, this one counting as 2. And then my 2 videos, my adoption story video part 1, and then my adoption story part 2, like very intimate details of my life. Things that really matter to me, just giving people an insert into how other people might live or where other people came from and the obstacles they had to overcome, So, if you're new and you want to subscribe, just go ahead, subscribe, ring the bell button. And by the way, I will be doing a giveaway once I reach 200 subscribers. I did a giveaway when I reached 100 subscribers. And I'm going to continue to do giveaways. At 300, I'm going to do a giveaway. At 400, at 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. And then once we hit 1,000 subscribers, boy, that's when the big finale is going to happen. That's when the big giveaway is going to happen. Although my first giveaway, I think, was pretty big. I mean, for me it was, because it was expensive product and a lot of product. But this one is also exciting for me. I have already bought some of the products, and I feel like I need to order a couple more. So just stay tuned. When I do hit 200 subscribers, I will film my giveaway video and all of the stuff that is included with the giveaway, and then all the rules. So anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.